Prime Minister Narendra Modi to interact with district magistrates and field officials of 10 states today to review the COVID situation. Nation records less than 3 lakh daily new cases for 4 successive days now. Oxygen expresses continue to deliver nearly 800 metric tons of liquid oxygen to the nation each day. 19 oxygen generation plants, more than 9,900 ventilators dispatched to states and union territories so far. "188 people rescued from the sea from barrage P305 that sank near Mumbai in cyclone Taute. Bodies of 37 people recovered. Rescue operations underway. Taute causes widespread rain in northern India. Delhi receives highest ever rainfall in 24 hours and lowest maximum temperature since 1951 for the month of May. Modi government's historic pro-farmer decision to increase fertilizer subsidy by the government. Subsidy on DAP fertilizer increased by 140%. Subsidy of rupees 1200 per sack instead of the earlier 500 rupees. Prime Minister says farmers' welfare is the government's top priority. Cross-border attacks continue into the 11th day between Israel and Gaza militants, even as US President Joe Biden urges Israeli Prime Minister to seek a de-escalation. Hello, good morning. You're watching DD News and I'm Preeti presenting the bulletin. Our top story first. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will interact with district magistrates and field officials of 10 states today to review the COVID situation. The Prime Minister will interact with district magistrates and also field officials of Chhattisgarh, Haryana, Kerala, Maharashtra, Odisha, Puducherry, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, Andhra Pradesh today. Now, this is the second time Prime Minister Modi will hold the district officials level meeting on COVID-19 situation. The first meeting took place on May 18th when Prime Minister held a virtual meeting with district magistrates from 9 states. The country is registering a decline in active case load and also fresh COVID cases. Now, with this, the recovery rate is continuously improving in the country. Over 3,69,000 patients have recovered from the virus within the last 24 hours. The recovery rate has further improved to 86.23% in the country. So far, over 2 crore 23 lakh patients have already recovered from this infection. The active case load comprises of 12.66% of the cumulative positive cases and it is continuously declining. It is said that there are over 31,29,000 active cases in the country at present. The Indian Council of Medical Research (ICMR) on Wednesday issued advisory for COVID-19 home testing using rapid antigen tests. Now, it is advised only in symptomatic individuals and immediate contacts of lab-confirmed positive cases, and indiscriminate testing is not advised. Home testing should be conducted as per the procedure described by the manufacturer in the user manual. The mobile app is a comprehensive guide of the testing procedure and will provide a positive or negative test result to the patient. All individuals who test positive may be considered as true positives and no repeat testing is required. All test positive individuals are allowed to follow home isolation and care as per the ICMR and Ministry of Health and Family Welfare's protocol. All symptomatic individuals who test negative by the RAT, that is rapid antigen test, should get themselves immediately tested by the RT-PCR. Now, this is especially important as the RATs are likely to miss few positive cases presenting with low viral load. All the RAT negative symptomatic individuals may be treated as suspect COVID-19 cases and are advised to follow the home isolation protocol while awaiting the RT-PCR test result. Manufacturer's instructions must be strictly followed for disposal of the test kit, swab and other materials. Presently, COVI self-TM COVID-19 OTC antigen LF device manufactured by My Lab Discovery Solutions Limited, Pune, India has been validated and approved. The cumulative number of COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country stands at 18 crore 70 lakh 9,792. A total of 11 lakh 66,090 vaccine doses were given on day 124, that is yesterday on May 19th. Over 5 lakh beneficiaries of the age group between 18 to 44 years received their first dose of the vaccine yesterday. And Union Health Ministry has accepted the recommendations of National Expert Group on Vaccine Administration for the COVID-19 cases. As per the new recommendations of NEGVAC, COVID-19 vaccination will be deferred by 3 months after recovery from the illness. If infected with COVID after first dose, the second dose may be deferred by 3 months after clinical recovery from the illness. Now, patients who have been given anti-SARS-2 monoclonal antibodies or convalescent plasma, vaccination is to be deferred by 3 months from the date of discharge from the hospital. Persons with any other serious general illness requiring hospitalization or ICU care should also wait for 4 to 8 weeks before getting the vaccine. An individual can donate blood after 14 days of either receipt of COVID vaccine or testing RT-PCR negative if suffering from the virus. COVID-19 vaccination is recommended for all lactating women. There is no requirement for screening of the vaccine recipients by rapid antigen test prior to the vaccination. Now, these recommendations have been based on the evolving situation of the pandemic and also emerging global scientific evidence and experience. India continues to put up a strong fight against the virus. The country continues its mass-scale COVID-19 testing drive. As per the ICMR, over 20 lakh 55,000 samples were tested on 19th May, taking the cumulative total to 32 crore 23 lakh 56,187. The battle against the pandemic is underway across the country. Now, the impact of the restrictions imposed by the states and union territories has been visible in the form of reduction in the number of cases. Total lockdown in several states, and some have triple lockdown, and also many states have corona curfew, and the benefit of this is for all to see. And this has also resulted in reduction in the pace of the pandemic in the past 15 days across the country. Positivity rate of the virus in Uttar Pradesh has now come down to be below 2.5%. While in Delhi, there has been a daily dip in the number of new cases, and the result is that there has been a substantial reduction in the number of new patients in hospitals. The positivity rate has come down to 5.78%. In Haryana, door-to-door screening is being done in the villages to stop the spread of the transmission. There is no shortage of oxygen or ICU beds in state hospitals. In view of the reduction in the number of cases, some relaxations may be given in the next phase of lockdown. In Himachal Pradesh also, the cases of COVID-19 have reduced. The first oxygen express train for Agra, Mathura and Aligarh, carrying 64 metric tons of liquid medical oxygen, arrived at Yamuna Bridge in Agra from Jharkhand's Tata Nagar on Wednesday. So far, Railways has delivered nearly 11,800 metric tons of liquid medical oxygen in more than 727 tankers to various states across the country. It may be noted that 196 oxygen expresses have completed their journey so far and have brought relief to various states. Moving on, leaving a trail of destruction on the coast of Gujarat on Monday, Cyclone Taukte weakened. Rescue operation continued even on Wednesday in full swing to save ships and crew. INS Kochi returned to Mumbai on Wednesday after rescuing 188 people from barge P305 that had gone adrift on Monday in the wake of Cyclone Taukte. Along with the rescued personnel, the ship also returned with the bodies of 26 victims who lost their lives. 49 people are still missing. Meanwhile, search and rescue operation is still on with INS Teg, INS Betwa, INS Bias, P-8I aircraft and Sea King Hellos still trying to locate survivors. The centre has set up a high-level committee to inquire into the sequence of the events leading to the stranding of ONGC vessels in Cyclone Taukte. Several vessels of ONGC with more than 600 people on board were stranded in offshore areas during Cyclone Tauktae. The stranding, drifting and subsequent events have led to loss of several lives. Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas has informed that a committee comprising of DG of Shipping, Director General of Hydrocarbons and Joint Secretary in Ministry of Defence has been constituted to inquire into the incidents. The committee will look into several aspects which include whether the warnings issued by the Met Department and other statutory authorities were adequately considered and acted upon. It will also inquire into the lapses and gaps in the systems leading to stranding and drifting of the vessels, and also will make recommendations to prevent recurrence of such incidents. The committee will submit its report within 1 month. Delhi on Wednesday recorded 60 millimeters of rainfall, the highest 24-hour precipitation in the month of May in the last 35 years. According to the Met Department, Delhi also recorded a maximum temperature of 23.8 degrees Celsius, 16 notches below normal, and the lowest in the month of May since 1951. The capital had recorded 60 millimeters of rainfall in a 24-hour period on May 24th in 1976. The IMD said that rainfall activity is very likely to decrease today, and scattered to fairly widespread rainfall is the forecast in the capital. Rainfall in Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, northern Rajasthan, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand on Wednesday is the result of interaction between remnant of cyclonic storm Tauktae and a western disturbance. In Uttarakhand, incessant rainfall in different parts of the state has affected normal life. Heavy rainfall has been reported in Dehradun and other places since Wednesday. However, snowfall occurred in higher reaches of the state. Met Department predicts that thunderstorm accompanied with lightning is likely to occur at isolated places in Pithoragarh, Bageshwar, Almora, Champawat and Nainital district of Uttarakhand in the coming 24 hours. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday chaired a high-level meeting on the issue of fertilizer prices. The Prime Minister stressed that farmers should get fertilizers at old rates despite the international rise in prices. A historic decision was taken to increase the subsidy for diammonium phosphate, that is DAP, fertilizer from 500 rupees per sack to 1,200 rupees per bag, which is an increase of 140%. Despite the rise in international market prices of the DAP, it has been decided to continue selling it at older price of 1,200 rupees per sack, and the central government has decided to bear all the burden of the price hike. The amount of subsidy per bag has never been increased at so much at once. The actual price of DAP last year was 1,700 rupees per bag, in which the government was giving subsidy of 500 rupees. The companies were selling fertilizer to farmers for 1,200 rupees per sack. The international prices of phosphoric acid, ammonia and others used in DAP recently have gone up by 60 to 70%. The actual price of a DAP bag is now 2,400 rupees, which could be sold by fertilizer companies at 1,900 rupees after considering a subsidy of 500 rupees. After this decision, the farmers will continue to get a DAP sack for 1,200 rupees. Now, this is the second major decision in the farmers' interest after directly transferring 20,667 crore rupees in farmers' account under PM Kisan Yojana on the day of Akshay Tritiya. The Prime Minister remarked that his government is committed towards welfare of the farmers and will take all efforts to ensure that farmers do not have to face the brunt of price rise. In Kerala, preparations are in full swing for swearing-in ceremony of the newly elected cabinet to be held this evening in Thiruvananthapuram. As the 21 members of second Pinarayi-led LDF government swear in today afternoon, all eyes will be on the portfolios of the new ministers. As per the resources, the Health Ministry will be given to second-time MLA Veena George and Finance to K.N. Balagopal. Chief Minister will keep Home Affairs, IT and Environment portfolio to himself. Among the small constituents, NCP will have to be satisfied with Forest portfolio instead of the earlier portfolio of Transport. CPIM has also given up important portfolio of Power. The new constituent Kerala Congress B will get Irrigation portfolio. The official notification regarding allocation of portfolios will be released from Raj Bhavan later. Due to the pandemic, the function will be limited to a few selected invitees. Everyone is bound to produce a COVID negative result taken before 48 hours and COVID vaccination certificate. Ahead of the swearing in of the newly elected LDF government in Kerala, Chief Minister P. Vijayan and his new cabinet team offered floral tributes to martyrs of Punapravalur uprising at the Martyrs Memorial in Vayalar in Alapua this morning. The Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has sent a notice to WhatsApp asking the messaging platform to withdraw its updated privacy policy. In the communication, the ministry said that the updated privacy policy undermines the values of information privacy and also data security. It has asked WhatsApp to respond to the notice by 25th of May. Enforcement Directorate has registered a money laundering case against businessman Navneet Kalra, who is accused in a case relating to the alleged hoarding of oxygen concentrators in his South Delhi restaurants. The Enforcement Directorate in a statement said that it has registered an enforcement case information report or the ECIR on the basis of FIR registered by Delhi Police against Kalra. Meanwhile, the crime branch of Delhi Police seized 2 cell phones from him in connection with the oxygen concentrators hoarding case. The police said that the phones have been sent to the Forensic Science Lab for further examination. Six sites, including the Ganga Ghats in Varanasi, temples of Kanchipuram in Tamil Nadu, and the Satpura Tiger Reserve in Madhya Pradesh, have been added to India's tentative list of UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Union Culture Minister Prahlad Singh Patel has said that 6 of the 9 sites submitted by the ASI had been accepted by UNESCO for inclusion in the tentative list, which is a requirement before the final nomination of any site. The recently included proposals are the Maratha military architecture in Maharashtra, the Higher Bengal megalithic site in Karnataka, and Beda Ghat, Lamita Ghat of Narmada Valley in Madhya Pradesh. The 6 proposals were included in the list on April 13th, taking the total number of proposals from India to 48 now, according to the UNESCO World Heritage Centre. A Culture Ministry official said that the final nomination for a site could be submitted after the proposal had been on the tentative list for a year, so the time would be used to prepare the dossier. Whenever you visit Billashpur village in Unakoti district of Tripura, you will find a gate erected and the villagers call it the Gate of Awareness. The village panchayat here has put a special effort to deal with COVID pandemic, which has resulted in 0 COVID cases in the village till now. We get you more in this report.
Andipur block of Unakoti district. Villagers here till now have been able to control COVID, and this has happened as a result of stellar efforts being put by village panchayat in generating awareness and ensuring COVID appropriate behavior.
আমরা এই বিলাসপুর পঞ্চায়েতে এখন অবধি আমাদের কোনো করোনা মুক্ত কোনো রোগী পাওয়া গেছে না। আমরা চাই আমাদের গ্রাম যাতে করোনা থেকে মুক্ত রাখা। আমাদের পঞ্চায়েতের উদ্যোগে আমরা এই রাস্তার মধ্যে একটা বাস বাঁধা রাখছি, যাতে বহিরাগত কোনো লোক আইলে আমাদের কোনো বিশেষ প্রয়োজন ছাড়া যাতে ঢুকতে না পারে। আমরা জলের ব্যবস্থা, স্যানিটাইজারের ব্যবস্থা রাখছি, যাতে আমাদের পঞ্চায়েত সুরক্ষিত থাকে, কোনো ধরনের কোনো করোনার পজিটিভ না আসে।
আমাদের গ্রাম পঞ্চায়েতের মধ্যে এখন পর্যন্ত কোনো ধরনের করোনা পজিটিভ রোগী পাওয়া যায়নি, এবং বহিরাগত যারা আমাদের গ্রামে আসছে বিভিন্ন জায়গা থেকে, তাদেরকে আমাদের গ্রামের প্রবেশ পথেই তাদেরকে বাধা দেওয়া হচ্ছে এবং তাদেরকে মাস্ক, স্যানিটাইজার।
In the first wave, the village reported only 8 COVID positive cases, and even in this wave, villagers are more careful in following COVID norms. Panchayat members are going from house to house with leaflets and making people aware about COVID appropriate behaviors. To ensure vaccination, from the beginning, villagers had got direction and were made aware about the importance of COVID vaccination.
প্রত্যেক গ্রাম, প্রত্যেকের বাড়ি বাইরে যাইয়া আমরা মাস্ক, যারা মাস্ক নাই আমরা মাস্ক দিতেছি। এছাড়া আমাদের পঞ্চায়েতে 45 বছরের ঊর্ধ্বে যারা টিকাকরণ ভারত সরকারের যে ফ্রি যেটা দিছে আমরা মোটামুটি প্রত্যেকেরই দেওয়া শেষ। এর আগে আমরা 60 বছরের ঊর্ধ্বে যারা আছে এরারও আমরা দেওয়া শেষ করছি। এখন দ্বিতীয় ডোজও প্রায় শেষের পথে আমাদের বিলাসপুর পঞ্চায়েতে টিকাকরণ।
আমরা গ্রামে এখনো কোনো করোনা রোগী নাই। আমরা গ্রামের রাস্তার সামনে গেট বানানো হয়েছে, বাইরে কোনো লোক ঢুকতে দেওয়া হয় না। গ্রামের প্রধান মেম্বারেরা মিলাইয়া গ্রামটা খুব সচেতন রাখছে। আমরা গ্রামে কোনো গরিব মানুষের কোনো মাস্ক না রাখলে প্রধান মেম্বারেরা ইয়া মাস্ক দেয়, লিফলেট দেয়, বা কোনো সমস্যা যদি হয় আমরা তাইলে তারা ফোন করলে তারা ইয়া করে সাহায্য সহযোগিতা করে।
In order to deal with COVID effectively, people from outside are given entry only on the basis of emergency work or essential work, and that too after proper sanitization and after wearing mask.
Alright, so the awareness in the village has led to 0 cases there. So this is the crux word. Stay aware and make sure that you do your bit in this fight against COVID-19 on an individual level, which will further give more fillip to the administration also in the fight against the pandemic. Up next, let's get to international updates now. Fighting between Israeli Defense Forces and Hamas escalates into the worst flare-up since the Gaza war in 2014. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says that he is determined to continue this operation until its aim is met, despite US President Joe Biden's call for de-escalation of hostilities in Gaza.
With every passing day, we are striking at more of the terrorist organization capabilities, targeting more senior commanders, toppling more terrorist buildings, and hitting more weaponry stockpiles. Just as I told the ambassadors here today, this is the natural right of Israel. I very much appreciate the support of these governments, and I especially appreciate the support of our friend US President Joe Biden for the state of Israel's right to self-defense. I am determined to continue this operation until its objective is achieved.
Meanwhile, senior Hamas official Musa Abu Mazrouk has said that he expected Israel and Gaza militants to reach a ceasefire within a day or two, ending the cross-border violence. In the meantime, a fresh barrage of rockets hit Israeli cities of Ashkelon and Sderot, causing damage to houses and vehicles, but with no casualties reported. Local residents were rushed to bomb shelters, while rockets were seen being intercepted in the sky by Israel's Iron Dome anti-missile system over Ashkelon. Israeli residents say that they oppose a ceasefire and voice willingness to reach decisive results in the fight against Hamas. Israeli authorities put the death toll at 12 in Israel, where repeated rocket attacks have caused panic and sent people rushing into shelters. Regional and US-led diplomatic efforts to secure a ceasefire have intensified, but so far failed. On the other hand, Palestinian medical officials say that 219 people had now been killed in 10 days of aerial bombardments, which have destroyed roads, buildings and other infrastructure, and also worsened the already dire humanitarian situation in Gaza. Earlier on Tuesday, an Israeli missile attack damaged the health ministry building in the Gaza Strip. The Al-Rimal Clinic, Gaza's only COVID-19 testing lab, was also severely damaged by Israel's attack. The strike killed 2 people, including a child, and injured 10 others. Protesters in various Arab cities held marches in support of Palestinians as tensions continue to escalate between Israeli forces and Hamas militants in Gaza. Hundreds took to the streets of the Tunisian capital, chanting in support of Palestinians and calling for the criminalization to end and normalization with Israel to prevail. Meanwhile, women and children gathered in the Lebanese capital Beirut in a protest organized by Hezbollah, where children drew paintings in support of Palestinians. Protesters, who were only granted access to a main square on foot in a bid to limit numbers, chanted "Death to Israel" and held banners rejecting normalization in reference to the accords by the UAE and Bahrain forging ties with Israel. As thousands of migrants gather in the Moroccan border town of Nidek near the frontier with Ceuta, Hundreds of them clashed after dark with Moroccan riot police. Earlier on Wednesday, hundreds of migrants tried to force their way past tightened security as Spain pressed on with the expulsion of thousands who had swum or climbed into the North African enclave over the past 2 days. Meanwhile, hundreds of migrant miners were assisted by Red Cross workers at a warehouse, as Spain says some arrivals are as young as 7 and some without families. The rush of migrants began on Monday when Morocco appeared to loosen border controls, a move widely interpreted as retaliation for Spain's hosting of a Western Sahara independence leader. Around two-thirds of the roughly 8,000 migrants who made it to the Ceuta enclave, including unaccompanied children, have been expelled, although many say that they would again try to reach Europe. What came as a tragic sight was when a migrant boy with plastic bottles tied to himself arrived at Spanish enclave Ceuta after swimming across the Spain-Morocco border. Visuals show soldiers talking to the visibly distressed boy from the shore before he ran onto El Tarajal beach and attempted to scale a wall of rocks. An iceberg the size of Spanish island of Majorca has broken off the coast of Antarctica, with measurements taken from satellites and planes confirming that it's now the world's largest. Iceberg A76, carved from the western side of the Ron ice shelf in Antarctica, is now floating on the Weddell Sea. The iceberg measures around 170 kilometers long and 25 kilometers wide. Now that's larger than New York's Long Island and also half the size of Puerto Rico. The Antarctica ice sheet is warming faster than the rest of the planet, causing melting of snow and ice covers, as well as the retreat of glaciers, especially around the Weddell Sea. In more international news, the US Food and Drug Administration has said that the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine can be stored at refrigerator temperatures for up to a month in the United States, in a change expected to help distribution of the shot. The US drug regulator said that it had made the decision based on a review of recent data submitted by Pfizer and will allow vials of the vaccine to be stored at refrigerator temperatures of 2 to 8 degrees Celsius for up to 1 month. The vials were previously only allowed to be kept at such temperatures for 5 days. The European Medicines Agency had also approved the storage of Pfizer vaccine in fridge for up to a month. Singapore has ordered Facebook and Twitter to carry a correction notice to users of the social media platforms in the country over what it says is a false statement about a new virus variant originating in Singapore. The Ministry of Health said that it was aware of the statement circulating online on media outlets and social media platforms, which implied that a new, previously unknown variant of COVID-19 originated in Singapore and risked spreading to India from the city-state. The correction orders were issued under Singapore's Fake News Law, or the Protection from Online Falsehoods and Manipulation Act. That's it in this edition of the News this hour. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.